Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ontario Cryptids. Today we have a story which was forwarded to me to share with you all. This one is on the creepy side, so stay tuned for another great story. On that note, if you have a story you would like to share, then forward your encounter stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. And if you are enjoying these encounter stories, then hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to my channel. And thanks to everyone who have previously subscribed. It is truly appreciated. Okay, guys and gals, go grab your favorite beverage or snack and sit back and relax. Okay, this encounter takes place in early to mid-October in 2010 in Fraser Valley, British Columbia, Canada. This experience was the only paranormal experience I have ever had, probably the only one I will ever have in my life. I'm 26 years old, and this experience still scares me to this day. I will never forget walking out of that forest that night, and I will remember it for the rest of my life. I've looked all over the internet and Reddit for encounters that were like ours, and I've only come across two that have correlations to our experience. I was 16 at the time that my old friend lived in a northwest rural part of my city. His backyard has 5 acres of forest with a few houses surrounding it in the distance around the outskirts of the forest. Him and I would go and explore the forest all the time because it was quite mystical and just a cool place to wander. This one time, me and my friend went outside to his forest with his Labrador retriever, like we usually do in the daytime, but this time it was about 1 a.m. There's a steep cliff made out of forest floor when you first walk in. It is only about 20 to 25 feet into the forest area from the entrance of the forest. When we were standing at the top of the cliff ravine before the pathway leading down to the rest of the forest and a creek at the bottom, which was the only safe way to walk down, especially at night, I could see a 7 to 8 foot tall, white, soft-looking figure, and it was in between the trees, moving around softly, swaying left to right, back and forth, slowly, standing, touching the forest floor in the exact same place. The whole time we saw it standing and swaying, it was making absolutely no sound, and there was absolutely no wind. I wasn't going to say anything about the figure to my friend at first because I was waiting for my friend to say something. We observed it for a couple of seconds in complete silence and were mesmerized by its movements. Then I asked my friend if he saw it, and he said, yeah. We stood silent in fear as we were watching it do its strange, unsettling, soft, swaying movements, trying to adjust our eyes to the being and see what it was doing. As we continued to watch it for a couple of minutes, I felt I was in a slight daze watching it sway and started to feel impending doom set in, the sinking feeling in my chest area like when you are going to die or are in a life-threatening situation, and I had shivers going throughout my body. That's when I told my friend specifically, I don't like this. He agreed, and we left immediately. I remember my friend yelling something at it because he could tell his dog was scared. I'm entirely positive the dog was whimpering, and the being was just still standing, swaying back and forth, left to right between the trees in the same exact spot. Almost immediately after we got out of the forest, it felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and the feeling of dread left pretty much immediately. The supernatural being was pure white with long limbs and seemed to be at least 7 to 8 feet tall from where we were standing, which was about 30 to 40 feet away from us, below around the pathway we would take down to the rest of the forest. It was not a trick of the mind or light. There was no light or moonlight shining in the forest because it was filled with tall Douglas fir trees, cedar trees, and other vegetation, and the creature was downwards from us deeper into the pitch-black forest. The forest also had various levels to it due to the natural tear-away in the ground and the forest being on a hill or slant when you first walk in. It was not a spiderweb, fog, or any sort of garbage. We had gone back in the morning daylight and saw nothing out of the ordinary. His forest was in pristine condition because no one would ever go in it. There were no houses close enough to give off any light or give off a shine through the trees, and the being was not transparent. It looked like it was almost solid, but it was very ghostly spirit-looking as well. It was upside down V or U-shaped, and it had no facial features or head at all from what we could see in the dark. It was so white it looked like it was almost shining, but it wasn't because it wasn't giving off any light of any sort or illuminating the ground or trees around it. You could see the being clearly while it was swaying in the pitch-black forest like it was a real animal. The two long legs, arms looked like the frontal view of an ape's forearm would look like when they are crawling on all fours, as if the two long legs were hunched in front. There are absolutely no animals in British Columbia, Canada, or the rest of Canada and the USA that look close to what we saw. There are absolutely no animals that are 7 to 8 feet tall and stand on two legs. It did not have a body. Its two legs' limbs were its body. It was not an animal, and there is no possible way to debunk this. I have explored all the options of what it could have been. This was the first time we ever went out to the forest at night, and it was going to be the last time we would go out in the forest at night. The 5 acres of forest is the biggest area of woods in that area. Around the area of town, it is mostly just a couple of houses and a farm forest area. It is pretty much the green belt of my city. To this day, the feeling that I had when I saw that being move still gives me shivers. The fact that we went out to the forest late at night and happened to see that being freaks me out as well, because it was clearly meant to be seen by us. If we had gone out any later or any sooner, we might not have seen it in the forest at that moment of time. Like I said, I didn't have to point out to my friend where the being was. He automatically saw it at the same time I saw it. I think the feeling of dread could have possibly have been a warning to keep us away from it, and that is why me and my friend left right away without any hesitation. I am well aware of the Nightcrawler videos. I wasn't aware of the videos till a couple of years after our encounter. I have seen the Fresno Nightcrawler video many times. The movement looked way more terrifying and psychedelic in real life compared to the videos, and it looked a lot more ghostly spirit-like. It was visually stunning and haunting compared to the videos, and something you would have to experience for yourself. The one we saw stayed in the same exact spot the whole time we saw it. It did not walk anywhere like the ones in the video, and there were some differences in appearance. Here is the Fresno Nightcrawler video without sound. This is the closest someone will ever get to the real experience due to how silent it was and how silent the forest was, and yet this video doesn't even do the experience justice, because it is something you will need to experience for yourself to understand. This was my only paranormal experience I have ever had. There was no paranormal activity that I have experienced when I go to my friend's house or on his property in his forest besides the one I experienced. But now that I think back on hanging around outside there and exploring the woods, there is for sure something special about the whole location. I told you this one was going to be creepy. Now, I do remember seeing the Fresno Nightcrawler video years ago, and I have to admit it creeped me out. Chris, thank you for sharing your story with us today. I will add the Fresno Nightwalker link below, as well as the blog link that you've provided. If this story reminded you of an encounter that you may have had and would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. Your stories can be as anonymous as you would like, and I'd love to hear from you soon. Have a fantastic Sunday, and we'll see you all next week.